hanging with me and the rest of the gang on NFL Network for 8.5-hour long pregame show prior to Super Bowl 58 on NFL Network, courtesy of Bingo Blitz. Kurt Warner,
hey, what's
back
up,
here on the Rich Eisen Show.
What's going on? You got your own show? You got your own radio network now? Like,
yeah.
What's next? Jeez.
World domination.
Okay, take it. Do it.
No, I mean, we're here on the #1 streaming portal known to man, Roku.
There you go.
By the way, you got some Roku. Have you seen our gift bag that's back there?
I've not seen our gift. No,
that'll be placed in your hands as you leave
here. All right. Take it.
There's some good.
Awesome.
There's some quality Roku gear in there.
Okay.
So you could stream in the Warner household.
We'll do it.
You know.
We will do it.
When you look at this trophy, what do you think of, Kurt Warner?
I would think of what really comes to my mind the first time I see it is I want another shot at that. I want to play in one more of these games and try to win it again. But obviously, you know, it goes back to just the moments I've had in the Super Bowl. That's one of the coolest things about this week is, I mean, obviously all the memories aren't great, as you'll probably mention at some point. But I played in 3 great Super Bowls, 3 Super Bowls that came down to the end. Either team could have won, and I appreciate those moments where you get the 2 best teams playing in the biggest game and playing the best game of the year, and that's really what that represents to me. I'm fortunate that I won one of those, but I played in 3 great Super Bowls that came down to the end. Either team could have won against some other great players, and that's the first thing I think of when I think about the Super Bowl.
Well, before Tom Brady got his hands on your records, you had in your 3 Super Bowls the 3 most prolific passing games in the history of the Super Bowl, and obviously Brady had an overtime to help, surpass one of your 3.
He got 10 shots at it in an overtime.
I know, right?
Come on.
How many yachts
fair.
can you water ski on?
It's not fair.
But so the question I want to ask you is one that I started the show with Joe Montana, sitting in the seat that you're currently occupying, Kurt, is just the ability that you see from Mahomes, and obviously Purdy is still cutting his teeth, the ability to just raise your game when the biggest game hits. And so can you, and again, Montana didn't have much of an answer because I'm talking about something that's esoteric.
Yeah,
you can't put your finger on it. But what did you do that allowed you to have those moments that we see Mahomes potentially has that as well?
Well, I mean, I think first of all, like you said, it's an internal thing, but the ability to kind of, for lack of a better term, slow your pulse. Like when the biggest moments happen, some people feel that. Other guys embrace that. And that to me is, when I was playing, that's what it was about. It was like you almost got even more focused. You got more locked in those moments because you felt, you understood it was bigger, and that didn't overwhelm you in those moments. I think it is a lot about focused as well. I have an unbelievable ability to focus. My kids will tell me all the time, when I'm sending a text message, they can say my name 400 times, and I will not hear them until I'm done, until the last word is send. And then it's like, oh, what, were you guys talking to me? Oh, really? Yeah. So they joke about it all the time, but I look back and go, like, that was my ability when I would get into those moments. Didn't hear anything, didn't feel anything. I was so engrossed in that moment, that play, that I was able to play my best in those moments. And that's kind of, to me, what it's all about. Some other people will just maybe hear their young daughter saying, Dad, 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 and it starts to distract them a little bit. Those guys that have the ability to look through that and go, I am in this moment fully so I can play my best in the moment are the ones that are great.
So you're saying the ones that listen to their children have never won a Super Bowl is what you're saying?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably. They get distracted at this point. They lose in the championship game. They can't put it all together. Yes, that's probably what I'm saying.
I understand that's an
so
odd
when you see
takeaway
Brenda,
from what you just
when
said.
you see Brenda, you tell her that.
Yeah.
The reason that he won Super Bowls and you're here is because he doesn't listen to your kids.
That's right.
Doesn't hear your kids.
Come on.
Right.
Then I'll stop saying that because I don't want to get her
right
upset.
After that. Then walk away.
That's right up to the water's edge.
Right.
And then pull back. So I know we've spoken about it on NFL Network multiple times, and I'm sure you've chimed in on it multiple times elsewhere. But just for the moment, the Brock Purdy conversation. What do you see when you watch the game film on him that you saw in person in the second half of that NFC Championship game, where he's able to flip a switch, for the lack of a better phrase? And what are you seeing in the struggles before?
Well, the biggest thing I'm going to say is that I think over the last year and a half, he's played the quarterback position as well as anybody. And it looks differently, but it doesn't mean it's less difficult than what some of the other guys do. And that's what I think part of the narrative has been is that he plays more conventional football, meaning like guys like me, more things have to be right around him, or they have to play better in that pocket and on schedule than other guys have to. But he has done that really well. He's made a lot of tough throws that I don't think it's as easy as, oh, plug any of these good quarterbacks in and they make all those throws. I don't think that's the case. But it looks differently than this era of quarterbacks. You know, people ask me, hey, when you were going through it that first year, you didn't seem to, have everybody pointing to all your weapons and the greatest show on turf and all those guys you had. And I think one of the reasons was because I looked like every other quarterback. Like in that day and age, it was drop back quarterbacks. You're throwing it from inside the pocket. And so I looked like everybody else in my era, and I was doing it really well. So I got credit for doing it really well. Now the era is more Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, and these athletic quarterbacks are the things that get etched in our mind is, oh man, can he make a no look pass? Can he run around and make five guys miss? No, but he's playing the position inside the pocket really, really well. But that's why I think he's getting scrutiny, because he doesn't look like this era of the prototypical quarterback where I did at the time. But playing great football, playing his biggest in the biggest moments, right? He hasn't played great in the playoffs. If I probably took every game that he's played since he took over as a starter, I would say probably his last two games are the worst two games that he's played.
Kidding.
Yeah, I would probably say that. Even though other people looked at some of the interceptions earlier in the year, some of the losses, I think he played really well in those games as well.
Including Christmas against Baltimore?
Yeah, I think that was more happenstance. I don't think he played terrible. I think it was Baltimore playing great and creating some things, but he still made a lot of plays in that game. I don't think he's played very well in these last two games, yet in those moments, the last drive, again, it wasn't like, I'm a realistic guy. So that last drive against Green Bay, it was all checkdowns except one throw to Jennings. So it wasn't like I didn't leave that game impressed like some people did. I was impressed with what he did before that. Last week, more about his legs than him making the plays in the pocket. But regardless, you do what you have to do to win in those moments. Play your best in the biggest moments. He's done that, and that's why he's playing in the Super Bowl.
And then what about, I know you've made mention on game day morning, and then I see what you do with QB Confidential and you tweeting about it as well. The scheme in San Francisco sets up the quarterback for difficult throws.
Yes.
That leads to
difficult throws.
And certainly in the middle of the field, which was always Jimmy G's issues.
Well, yeah.
So you're saying the scheme kind of
leads them to, well, first of all, when a scheme leads you to the middle of the field, there's a lot more bodies in the middle of the field. So that's just kind of the nature. If you're going to throw a lot of your throws in the middle of the field, there are going to be more balls put in harm's way. Mm-hmm. But yes, the scheme is very much built on play action and running the football. And so play action, you draw the linebackers up, you attack the middle of the field, there's bigger windows. When you get into a drop back game and you don't have that pull on the linebackers, and you don't have a scheme that, for instance, puts a guy underneath and a guy over the top of a linebacker, and you get to read off of that linebacker. Does he go deep? Does he go short? When you don't have that sort of stuff, now sometimes you're asked as a quarterback to find that throw. Like, does it go in the first window? Does it go in the second window? Does you have to throw it over the linebacker? And Brock Purdy and really all the quarterbacks in that system are asked to do that a lot. And so that's when people watch it and they go, oh, that wasn't that tough of a throw. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, there's linebackers all over. There's a small little window. You got to anticipate. And so that's what I don't think a lot of people see, that it's not always conducive to making the game easy and making, creating layups for your quarterback that are just easy throws. Everybody sees the throw to Debo. It's at the line of scrimmage and he runs for 20. Yes, that's a layup. But their throws down the field, they don't have a bunch of layups because of their offense. And so he's asked to make some more difficult throws, and that's what I appreciate about how he's playing.
And then just to extrapolate it out one step further, is that the fact that there's a play action necessity to have somebody bite on it to get the chunk plays to open up, is that part of the reason why there's been no comebacks from 7 points down in the fourth quarter up until that Green Bay game?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. I think it's first, they've had a really good team, so you don't play from behind very much. Right? So that's kind of how I felt in my career. I don't remember how many comeback games I had, but I was like, we were ahead most of the time. So that's the first thing with San Francisco. They're ahead a lot. But yes, I believe their offense is built around the run game and the play action, so they're not as good. They're not as versatile in their drop back pass game as some other teams are, because they focus on what are we really good at? We're good on play action and running the game, or running the ball. So we're going to focus on that, spend our time on that, and then the pass game will become more of a complementary piece to it. So now when we're stuck in a game where we've got to go to that complementary piece, the thing that we're not best at, you're not going to be as good in those situations as you are doing what you focus on. So yeah, I think it's twofold in how it plays out. But yeah, the bottom line is that's not their strength. I don't think they go to practice and go, hey, we're going to spend this whole period doing drop back passing, because Kyle's like, that's not how we're going to play. We're going to run the football and play action. We're going to beat people that way. And then if we have to throw it, we've got these pieces, but they're just not like vice versa to what we did in St. Louis. Like, we were throwing the ball. Like, running was a complementary piece. We were going to get really good at throwing it, so we were always built for that situation. But then we were up in a game, fourth quarter, and we got to be in the 4-minute drill and hand the football off. That wasn't our greatest strength, even though I did have teams that were good at that, but that wasn't our greatest strength. So we were at a disadvantage when we had to hold on to a lead as opposed to try to take back a lead.
Kurt Warner here on the Rich Eisen Show. What is Bingo Blitz about?
All right, let's talk about it. You guys grow up playing bingo? Anybody here?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I did. When I was growing up, we would go to church every Wednesday, bingo night. Mom would buy my cards. I'd get to keep all the money that I won playing bingo. I know, right? We didn't have a whole lot, so I got to keep it all. So you couldn't wait for, stamping your spot. Bingo! So we're kind of celebrating that idea that Super Bowl to me is about those bingo moments for players. Me throwing a touchdown pass to win a Super Bowl 34 was kind of my bingo moment. I gave James Harrison his bingo moment, a few years later in the Super Bowl. But
you brought it up, by the way.
I did.
Okay.
But before you could take me down that path, I thought I would go there. But anyways, we're going to have some players that have their bingo moment. So we're kind of celebrating that idea. Okay, Bingo Blitz. Download the free app. You can get a free subscription, or I should say an account there. Get a free account there. And then if one of these defenses set a Super Bowl record for 8 sacks in the Super Bowl, then we are going to give one of our account holders $1 million if that happens. So a little spirit of Vegas, taking some money home, right? Gambling a little bit, having a little bit of fun, and a little bit of risk involved with 8 sacks. It's a lot of sacks. But a few years ago, we saw the Rams get 7 against Cincinnati.
It's like a bold prediction.
I mean, a little bit of a bold prediction.
A bingo prediction.
A bold prediction with $1 million. I'll take that. I will take that bold prediction. Let's hope we hit on that one.
Well, this is not a record that Mooch can have somebody smash, because you didn't have any. You didn't play defense.
And it's not a record that I would want to have if I was playing in the Super Bowl.
Understood.
But since I'm not, hey, let's do it. Bingo Blitz. Download the free app. Join in, and maybe you win $1 million.
And
that would be a good bingo moment.
Exactly.
It's installing as we
He's doing it right now. He's literally doing it.
I only won like $5, $10 when I had my bingo moments growing up. So $1 million would be a lot better than that.
That is fun. So I won't have you give your prediction here. So I'll just kind of run around that trap and ask you what you think it comes down to. What does Super Bowl 58 come down to?
If I'm going to pick one area, I'm going to say that I believe it comes down to San Francisco's run game. That if Brock Purdy and San Francisco have to drop back and throw the ball against that Chiefs secondary, I think it'll be a long day. So key for me is if there's one area that's a little bit weaker with the Chiefs defense, it's stopping the run. That's where San Francisco is built. That, to me, is where this game is going to hinge. If they can't run the football, I think it's going to be tough. I guess the caveat is I don't think it's going to be a blowout, so I don't think the Chiefs are going to all of a sudden score 35 points in this game. So they could probably still keep it close and maybe win late, but that to me is the component that I think is most important.
Yeah, I mean, because everything that you said, how the play action pass and how it works, for it to click, McCaffrey's got a
right.
I mean, Spagnuolo's got a. He knows that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he knows that, but it's not always as easy as, we know they're going to run the football, stop the run. But I think they would feel pretty good if it was like, ball's in Brock Purdy's hands with our secondary, and they've got to throw it every snap.
Yeah.
I think we feel pretty good there.
And, I guess one way to do it is Jedi mind trick the opposition into only running the ball 6 times with running backs. Like, I don't know how that happened. I'm sorry, keep Baltimore fans, I keep returning to that, but it's just the ultimate head scratcher is how did that happen in the AFC Championship
The only
game?
thing I say, even though they're a different team this year, we've kind of said it for a couple years, is that it almost seems like there's Patrick Mahomes rules. That when you're playing against Patrick Mahomes in those moments, you go a little bit a different way and a little bit against character, because you're like, well, we can't just hand the football off. We'll never be like, we need Lamar to outperform Patrick if we're going to win this game.
Right.
And you get into these modes of panicking and going away from what got you there, because you know number 15 on the other side is so good and so special. You feel like you got to do something extra. But, Kyle Shanahan, I think back to, I called that game at Buffalo in New England. You remember that game? It was freezing cold and the wind was 800 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. And they went into that game and you said, well, it's going to be a running game. But I think Bill Belichick handed the football off like 3 or 4 times in the entire game.
Right.
He was patient enough to go, hey, I'm not going to throw it. I'm not going to make Mac Jones throw it. Josh Allen will throw it. They'll get impatient and try to throw it. New England won that game running the ball 4 times. Can you have that sort of patience if you're Kyle Shanahan to go, this is our game plan, this is what we do, we're going to keep handing it off. We're going to keep pounding and pounding and pounding as long as we're in the game. And like you said, Baltimore got impatient. Can you be patient if you get into one of those kind of games?
See you on the Zoom tomorrow.
All right.
For our pregame show meeting. And then I will see you on Sunday at the stadium. And then I can't wait to hear your call with Kevin Harlan in the booth on Westwood One. And everybody go download the free Bingo Blitz app, create an account, and you could win $1 million if there's 8 sacks in the game.
There you go.
On Sunday.
8 sacks.
Use $1 million
for the defense.
Thanks.
Defense wins championships.
Thanks for coming, Kurt. Good to see you.
Good to see you, buddy.
You got it. It's Kurt Warner right here on The Rich Eisen Show. Catch The Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.